For everyone who's only just heard about the game, or for the people who haven't been following the Discord and the dev updates, Nexon has been pretty radio silent, bar a few little updates for the better part of 8 to 9 months, and on Wednesday the 14th they have finally given us another trailer and confirmed a date for the next open beta, which involves crossplay. If you don't know what The First Descendant is, this is a free-to-play third-person co-op ARPG from the development team over at Nexon Korea. You can group up with a team of 4 players or play solo if that's your style. You battle the invading enemies, the Vulgus, you defeat enemies, gear up and become the ultimate player of chaos. On the screen you can see timestamps of each segment, so if you want to skip to certain points then feel free, but I fully recommend watching the entire video for the most news and updates around the game. Many of you have heard, The First Descendant second beta has been confirmed and has been given a crossplay open beta. The dates for the crossplay beta are scheduled on the 22nd of August till the 28th of August. This crossplay beta will be available for players on Steam, PlayStation and Xbox. To sign up for the beta, either head over to Steam and request to join, or click the link below in the description. Once clicking the link, select your platform and enter your email. You will receive an invite if you have signed up. I should say this isn't mentioned a lot, but if you are on Steam and you joined the previous beta, you do not need to sign up as you are automatically signed up for the next beta. Final notes for this section is in regards to any questions you may have for the developers. If you do have any questions, they are hosting a Ask Me Anything in their official Discord. Links will be provided in the description. If you have any questions for me, you can find me in their Discord. My name is Greg, creator of the polls. Feel free to ping me or DM me, whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. This section is going to be dedicated to talking about the characters, what style of gameplay they are and how their abilities act. A full description from the previous beta will be shown on screen, but these are subject to change possibly for the next beta coming up. For the 2 new characters, I'll do my best to showcase what they appeared to be in the videos from what we have seen, but there isn't that much information actually given about these characters, so a lot of it will be a bit of a wild guess until we get more information based on what these characters actually do. Players who are wanting to be the tank in their group, Ajax will be your go-to. From creating a shield around them to being able to leap in the air and stunning enemies, Ajax is a primary tank. I will note, Ajax Ultimate only has an increase in base stats, so his abilities and passives and everything else about him is the same, he just has a little increase in his base stats. But Ajax's passive skill is a very basic but helpful passive. He has an ability to basically just store void energy during combat. There will be a picture on the screen right now that can show you the full description of what his passive does, but it's just a very basic and simple skill. His first ability is Reverse Door. It creates a shield in front of him, acting very defensive from one direction and giving the ability to reflect damage back towards enemies if the shield is in hand. His second ability, Void Walk, leaps Ajax into the air, landing on the ground, strikes nearby enemies and stuns them for a few seconds. This is great for crowd control, stopping enemies for a few seconds from attacking you or your party. If the skill is enhanced, your max shield will be increased for a certain period of time upon casting and landing. Third ability is Expulsion, a very simple but effective skill, perfect for defense missions. Upon casting, Ajax will strike nearby enemies, knocking them back away from Ajax basically. If the skill is enhanced, knockback range and your max shield will be increased. And finally for Ajax's fourth skill, Hypercube. It is probably his most defensive skill that he holds in his arsenal. Upon casting, he will create a dome-shaped shield surrounding him, blocking all damage from all directions. Basically, it's perfect for solo or group play. If the skill is enhanced, any damage towards the shield will be deflected back towards the enemies, and this is proportional from Ajax's defense, so the more defense, the more reflection and health the shield will have. For the players who enjoy dot builds and cooking, Blair is the fire master waiting to burn the world while rambling on about cooking constantly. Blair's passive ability, critical hit damage, is increased when attacking enemies in a burn state, and critical hit chance is increased depending on the amount of stoves that are in the battlefield. Blair's first ability is Stove On. It spews out flames in a small AoE around him, dealing damage to nearby enemies and creates a stove. Stove inflicts constant damage and burn effect to nearby enemies. Blair's second ability is Stove Off. It retrieves all stoves in the battlefield and restores mana. Retrieving stones will also increase the player's defense for a short period of time. Blair's third ability, Flambe, acts exactly how a flamethrower acts. Directly from his hand, he will shoot fire, hitting any enemies in reach. Enemies are afflicted with a constant damage and burn effect. And finally for Blair's final ability. Chef Star is Blair's major AoE attack. Upon casting, he will throw a large fireball forward, and upon landing, it will split into smaller fireballs. Each explosion inflicts burn damage and increases the stove on the ground. Stove deals damage to nearby enemies and inflicts them with even more burn damage. If you're looking for a character who doesn't stop running, dealing AoE damage as she's on the move, and is constantly killing enemies, Bunny is your go-to character. Dynamo is Bunny's passive skill. Whilst moving, you charge up electricity just by moving around. Landing on the ground after a double jump inflicts damage to nearby enemies. Electric Orb is Bunny's first ability. Summon an electric orb to attack nearby enemies and inflict electrocution damage onto those enemies. Joyride is her second ability, increasing her sprint speed and the amount of electricity you gain whilst you are moving. Now Pulsar is her third ability. Moving around deals damage to nearby enemies in somewhat of a Nova effect. If you've played other games that have Novas, this is very much like it. You just keep running around, Novas appear. Each Nova inflicts electrocution damage onto enemies. And for Bunny's final ability, Circuit Breaker, you shoot out electricity forward, inflicting damage upon enemies. Your damage is increased proportional to your skill duration, so if you want as much damage, bulk up that skill duration. Freyna is another dot dealer. If you are a fan of Blair's cooking abilities, I'm sure Freyna will be your poison. She has very, very high damage capabilities. Freyna's passive is Unauthorized Bullet. Your damage increases while attacking enemies which are poisoned by Freyna's skill, so keep casting your skills and your damage will ramp up. Freyna's first ability is Venom Baptism, throwing poison to attack the target enemies with damage and inflict Room Zero onto nearby enemies. I will explain Room Zero with the pictures on the screen. You can have a look if you want. Freyna's second ability is Defense Mechanism. You significantly increase her defense, and there is a chance to inflict Room Zero trauma onto enemies who do attack you. Freyna's third ability is Decomposed Poison. She throws a poison bomb basically to create a poison swamp. Enemies that do enter are inflicted with a constant damage and a poison footprint state. When enemies walk around with a poison footprint state, they will leave footsteps on the ground, and if any other enemies walk over those footprints, they will also gain a poison infliction. Dead Room is Freyna's final ability. You switch your guns to Dead Room. Enemies hit with Dead Room are inflicted with Room Zero trauma. I will say a shout out to Moxie over on Twitch and YouTube. During the beta, he put out a 250,000 dot build. I would recommend checking him out if you are wanting to play and get some crazy builds. Now on to Glaze. She is special to a lot of us. In the last beta, she was nerfed due to how powerful she was, but if you are the type of players who are min-maxes and want to deal insane amounts of damage, Glaze is your girl. Death Sensor is Glaze's passive ability. Defeating enemies drops a life sphere on the ground. Picking up these life spheres does restore HP and adds a stack of power of life. Berserk is Glaze's first ability. You consume about 15% HP to enter Berserk mode, and in Berserk mode, long distance weapon attack, damage, and penetration is increased. Glaze's second ability, Life Extraction, deals damage to nearby enemies and restores HP. In Berserk mode, your damage is increased. In normal mode, damage inflicted by enemies decreases for a short period of time. Her third ability is Requiem, which creates an area with special effect. In Berserk mode, bullets are not consumed within the area. In normal mode, your HP is restored within the area of effect. Glaze's final ability, Nosferatu, switches the guns to Nosferatu. In Berserk mode, her skill damage is increased, and in normal mode, attacked enemies are stunned. Now J-Bit is the best of both worlds. If you're looking for both a support character and a damage dealing character, he has you covered with both high dealing attacks and healing capabilities. Turret Sync is J-Bit's passive ability. Attack damage is increased when both assault turrets and medical turrets are both summoned at the exact same time. J-Bit's first ability is an assault turret. Summon an assault turret to attack enemies. If enhanced, it will launch attacks into a nearby area. J-Bit's second ability is medical turret. You also summon a medical turret into the battlefield to heal allies and distract enemies. If the turret is enhanced, it will also restore mana. J-Bit's third ability is multi-purpose gun. Changes his gun into a multi-purpose gun. It allows turrets to enter enhanced state and can be fired at enemies. The gun can hold a max of 3 shots. Now J-Bit's final ability is Total Recall. It recalls all summoned turrets back and inflicts powerful damage into nearby enemies. Using Total Recall, you enter an overhaul state, which turrets are summoned in their enhanced states. Now for the people who like the standard gun and grenade builds, Lepic and Ultimate Lepic are the standard way of playing. Utilize grenades to clear out areas of enemies with ease. Side note for players, Ultimate Lepic will just have more stats than normal Lepic. We discovered this during the last beta. Lepic's passive is 9 lives. Upon receiving fatal damage during combat, there is a chance to survive and not go down. Now Lepic's first ability is Grenade. It's a bog standard grenade. You throw a grenade forward towards enemies. Extra burn damage is applied when Power Stream is active. Power Stream is his second ability and it increases all skill damage and adds a burn effect to grenades and armor launcher for a set duration. His third ability is Traction Grenade. He throws a traction grenade forward to pull enemies within a close range and group all the enemies up. Now Armor Launcher is Lepic's final ability. Upon casting, fires a powerful shell towards enemies. The shell is maintained at the landing spot for a period of time, inflicting constant damage in a radius effect around the shell. Now Sharon is your close range damage dealer. If you're looking for a stealth type of build, she is your go-to. She has insane capabilities of damage. Assassinate is Sharon's passive ability. Damage is increased when attacking enemies that are not attacking Sharon. Killing enemies with this skill in the ambush state resets the cooldown for all active camouflages. Sharon's first ability is Cut Off Beam. Attacks enemies with an electric blade to deal damage and inflict them with electricity damage. Active Camouflage is her second ability. She enters an ambush state which increases the damage of her next attack. Any enemy she does attack, or if she uses any abilities, the camouflage state will end immediately. Shock Nuts is her third ability. Launch built-in explosives forward from the arm, stunning enemies in a radius. Lights Out is her final ability. You target enemies with a radius, throwing out multiple knives to attack them. Knives do explode upon contact, inflicting enemies with damage and electrocution effect. Now Viessa is perfect for players who want to be a support, like debuffing instead of healing. She is the true Ice Queen of the First Descendant. Ice Sphere is Viessa's passive skill. Upon inflicting an enemy with Ice Shackles, Ice Spheres will rotate around the player. Ice Beam has a first ability. Fires an exploding beam into an area around enemies, inflicting enemies with Ice Shackles. If the beam hits the enemies, it will increase Ice Shackles by 2 stages. If it's the area that's exploded, it will increase by 1 stage. Frost Fog is their second ability, increasing running speed and shields. It also creates ice sheets on the ground, which when Viessa is running or standing over, if an enemy comes into contact with the ice shields, they are inflicted with ice shackles. Ice Wave is her third ability. Upon casting, release an arc of cold air in front of enemies, inflicting damage and increasing ice shackles upon the enemies. Ice shackles is increased by 2 stages. Now Blizzard is her final ability. Creates a snowstorm upon casting that explodes over time and dealing damage in a large radius. Inflicted damage and ice shackles onto enemies caught within its radius. Ice shackles increased by 3 stages when hit and 4 stages if hit by the exploding area. Now on to the final part, Valby and Kyle. Whilst we don't know a lot about these characters that are being added to beta, we do know their abilities and playstyles revolved around water and flight. We've seen during the trailers that Kyle can fly into the air and plow into the ground, and we believe his abilities are more magnetic style, while Valby is confirmed to be 100% water, whatever that means. We're having a discussion in the Discord about it. But we know her abilities revolve around water, so I will be more interested to do a more in-depth video on both of these characters when more news around these characters does come out, or if it is during the beta. Now thank you for watching this video. I had more plans for this video, but I didn't really want to drag it out too long. I'll be posting more videos in the coming weeks explaining more in depth on the rune system and how it works, along with a community project for everyone to join in with that will benefit the entire player base. I'm still new to creating videos and especially doing voice recordings. It probably took about over a week to create this video because I'm still stuttering and having to redo audio clips constantly. I'm still new to the program and learning as I go, so if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you have any suggestions for me on either videos or video editing, leave a comment in the comments below. I will more or less read every single comment. If you're not following my other socials, Twitter and them lot, they'll be in the description as well. I don't use them as much, but when the First Descendant becomes more popular or closer to the release date, other than just the beta, I will be posting a lot more content, especially with more fully in-depth builds and character videos. So I tried doing one on Viessa a while back and just kind of stopped because it was just too far out of the way. But this one's just a quick little update, and yeah. But I do appreciate you guys watching. If you have made it this far, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.